Welcome back to the Week 7 edition of my weekly NFL Pick'em. This week I almost stayed up all night after that Monday Night Football game to get this video out early for you guys and girls, but I was so mad at the state of officiating in the NFL that I had to sleep it off. And wow, I'm glad that I did, because Tuesday had some crazy trades with the Rams, Ravens, and Browns, and now I'm also really hyped for mock draft season because we've got so many teams with multiple first round picks, and that always leads to some really interesting scenarios to project. Last week, guys, my picks were awful, but you all came through for me and we still hit the goal of 1,000 likes. I'm hoping that I can thank you all this week with some better NFL predictions, and hopefully we can continue to hit that goal of 1,000 likes each week. So please hit that like button. It helps me grow this channel, helps YouTube know that even though the picks might suck, the video itself doesn't. And if it's your first time here, I hope that you'll subscribe, but whatever you do, just don't go back and watch that last week's video. All right, let's get into this Thursday night football game. On Thursday night, we've got Chiefs at Broncos, and I can't be the only one struggling with some of these picks because, as Rich Eisen pointed out on Twitter, the Chiefs, Cowboys, and Rams were a combined 10-0 and are now 0-8 since then. The Chiefs, they've lost back-to-back home games after starting 4-0, and now they face the back-to-back winning Broncos on a short week as they recover from their 0-4 start. This game was going to be pegged as a potential upset from the day the schedule was released because of how close the Broncos have played the Chiefs recently. The Broncos have completely flipped the script on their defense, and it seems like Courtland Sutton seems to be carrying the Broncos passing attack, and you know what, I just love to see it. Flacco's actually surrounded by legit weapons everywhere, so if he can manage to just drive the bus, this Broncos team is set up to make some moves here in the AFC West, which seems like it's got an opening for the second best team in the division. A win here would go a long way for the Broncos, but they're going to need to score some points, and I just don't see Flacco getting it done, and the Chiefs win 24-20. Like I said, I had a terrible week last week and went for some reaches and upsets that I felt good about during the games, but for the most part, the better teams won in the end. And claiming the Steelers didn't have a chance against the Chargers was probably my worst take of the year because they jumped on the Chargers' neck from the start of the game, and I owe Devlin Hodges an apology. I honestly feel like I've been doing a better job predicting fantasy production than I've been predicting winners, like going all in on the guys in a game that featured two one-win teams in the Falcons and Cardinals last week. Maybe I need to change these weekly videos to a fantasy football sit or start series, especially because I've got a new DFS app to share with you guys called Overlay Fantasy Sports. I tried it out this past weekend and it is super simple. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to set up a lineup only to scrap it because I couldn't get it just the way I wanted within the salary cap. But Overlay uses player versus player matchups of guys who are projected to have similar production each week, and you decide who you want to start or sit between the two. You pick 12 out of the 30 plus matchups presented each week, and a win, loss, or tie will be awarded to your record based on the player with the most productive performance. If you finish in the top 10, you can win up to 9 times your buy-in. Now, I'm cheap and I found a group that only cost $2.50 to enter and went 8-4, which won me $13.26. Hey, it's not a lot, but it's free money, and it was really fun to pick the guys that I thought would have a big day. The goal obviously is to get a 12-0 record if possible and win the progressive bonus. And you guys know I'm not a big gambler, so this is a little rich for my taste, but as an example, if you were to get a 12-0 record in the $109 game, you'd win the progressive bonus of $27,000, which is insane. Overlay Fantasy Sports is a brand new way to play, and the app just kicked off this year, so it's not impossible to win like it is in other salary cap based DFS when you're going up against like a million dudes, and some of them have 10 plus lineups in each group that have been computer generated for them. No, this is completely different. Don't miss out on this new way to play DFS. Download the Overlay Fantasy Sports app in the App Store, and you can also play on your computer if you visit www.overlaydfs.com. Do me a favor and go check them out today. With that said, let's get into the Sunday NFL action. Rams at Falcons. Geez, these teams have fallen off drastically from where we anticipated only a couple months ago. Honestly, I have no idea what's wrong with the Rams right now. You do have to give the 49ers credit because that defense is legit and their D-line is just a bad matchup for the Rams offensive line. You really can't place the blame on one specific player, position group, or coach, but there's a reason the term Super Bowl hangover was coined, and that's got to be a factor for the Rams underachieving right now. But on a shocker of a Tuesday, the Rams traded Marcus Peters to the Ravens, making cap space to trade the Jaguars for Jalen Ramsey. Giving up 2 first-round picks for Ramsey is yet another mortgaging of the future for a Super Bowl run right now, and I can respect it. The Rams aren't wavering on what they're trying to do right now. They needed a jolt, and Jalen Ramsey should bring that, and I bet he'll magically be cured from that back injury that's kept him out for a few weeks. The Falcons are still dealing with their own epic Super Bowl hangover from blowing that 28-3 lead to the Patriots. I think it's going to take a sweeping coaching change to energize this team next year, but until then, they're going to be a struggling football team without an identity. Dan Quinn is a defensive coach, and he's got the worst defense in the league. How does that happen? I know that they're dealing with injuries, but they've got to adjust their game plan here. Matt Ryan is playing too well for them to be this bad right now. Rams win 31-27. Dolphins at Bills. The Dolphins won the first Tank Bowl of 2019 and continue on their quest for the #1 overall pick. Putting Ryan Fitzpatrick in for Josh Rosen to make it look like they were really trying to win was a nice touch. And then Brian Flores was announced to be back already for 2020 as the Dolphins head coach, as if he's shown anything thus far to warrant a second go round at this. But I'm not a big fan of firing coaches after 1 year. It's just weird timing, that's all. The Bills are fresh off their bye week and should be able to handle the Dolphins, but stepping on a team's throat is not really their style, and they might let the Dolphins hang around longer than expected. And by hang around, I mean they won't be up by 3 touchdowns until the fourth quarter. Bills win 30-9. Jaguars at Bengals. Hopefully the Minshew magic isn't wearing out already, and the Jaguars have just run into some really good defenses the last couple weeks. Fortunately, they've got the other Tank Bowl contenders up next on the schedule, and now they've dusted their hands of this Jalen Ramsey situation, and they can finally just focus all in on football this year. The Bengals actually played the Ravens pretty tight last week and are still showing the fight that they've shown each week besides that Monday Night Football game against the Steelers. They're still holding AJ Green hostage. I'm not sure why. I hope that poor guy can find a new home with a contender sometime in the next couple weeks before the trade deadline. Throw Geno Atkins in there also. But there's enough film on Gardner Minshew now, so I do expect the rookie to have a few bad games down the stretch here, but even a strong defensive performance from the Bengals shouldn't be enough to blow their tank job here. Jaguars win 23-16. Vikings at Lions. The Vikings must be one of the most frustrating teams to be a fan of. You see their full potential at home, but then they seem to just put their tail between their legs on the road. At least here in Detroit, this is an indoor road game, so I could see the Vikings keeping the playbook open and stretching the field to feed these wide receivers. And last week, I jokingly said that the refs were going to screw the Lions out of a win on Monday Night Football, but I had no idea it would come to this. The OGs of this Pick'em series from last year, you guys know that I'm kind of an NFL conspiracy theorist, and I believe that the league uses refs to facilitate whatever narrative that they would prefer, and I guess the downside to an NFL coach wearing a Goodell clown shirt was made glaringly apparent against the Packers. I really think that the Lions are a much better team than I ever gave them credit for coming into this year, and they deserved that win last week. But the Lions players are going to be hearing this from everybody all week, and I'm worried that they might lose their edge while dealing with this distraction. Vikings win 27-20. Raiders at Packers. It feels like a month since the Raiders beat the Bears in London, and now they're headed to Lambeau to get excessively flagged for illegal hands to the chest. I actually feel bad for Packers fans too, because it's impossible to fully enjoy a win when everybody is discrediting it because of the refs. I mean, come on, can we cut this poor, tortured Packers franchise a break once in a while? The Raiders are actually the team that's here to mess with us all this year, like shutting down Khalil Mack in that Bears game. All common sense would have the Packers winning this game, but John Gruden has been coaching his ass off, and I expect the Raiders to have something for Aaron Rodgers with an extra week to prepare. Devontae Adams should be back for the Packers this week, and Rodgers really needs him to elevate this receiving core because they are the reason the Packers should have lost that game on Monday night. Now, the conspiracy theorist in me expects the league to be reactionary to all this negative officiating publicity, and the Packers won't be getting the calls to even things out statistically, but in the end, even that's not enough for the Raiders to win because the Packers are one of the most balanced teams in the league. Packers win 24-17. Texans at Colts. The Texans stated their claim for the AFC last week on the road in Kansas City. I'm on Team Watson all day, every day, and would love to see him in the MVP discussion moving forward. But the inconsistencies of this team in the past makes it hard to trust them from week to week. The offensive line is starting to gel, and Deshaun Watson wasn't sacked for the second week in a row after getting pummeled for the first 4 weeks of the season. The Colts have had an extra bye week to prepare for this game after also giving the Chiefs a home loss, and it seemed like Frank Reich had Bill O'Brien's number in his first year as the Colts head coach and was only a ballsy call away from a 3-game sweep of the Texans, including a thrashing in the playoffs. I really want to roll with the Texans here, but I feel like they're primed for a letdown after last week's big win against the Chiefs. The Colts might get off to a slow start, but T.Y. Hilton is still the Texans' daddy, so I expect him to carry the Colts passing attack. Colts win 28-24. Cardinals at Giants. Kyler and the Cardinals got that second dub against the Falcons, and the offense is starting to look pretty good. Now they head to the East Coast for a matchup between QB1 and QB2 from the 2019 NFL Draft. The Giants are getting Saquon Barkley back this week, and the wind in Jersey might be too much for the Cardinals' finesse offense to execute consistently. As for Daniel Jones, after facing Belichick and the Patriots' #1 ranked defense, his Cardinals defense is going to feel like he went from playing on all Madden difficulty to rookie difficulty. Giants win 34-29. 49ers or Redskins? Okay, 49ers fans, I think it's safe to say I'll be picking your team this week. The Redskins are fresh off their first win of the season, and maybe this is a turning point for the team. Just kidding, this team is still terrible. I'm not going to say there's no chance the Redskins win because that didn't work out too well last week with the Steelers. Thanks a lot, Chargers. But if the 49ers stumble in this one, then I might truly become the villain that 49er faithful wants me to be. This is the 1 p.m. kickoff for a West Coast team, and you saw the slow start that the Seahawks got to last week playing a 1 o'clock game in Cleveland. Maybe the 49ers don't dominate early, but Kyle Shanahan is in the zone right now, and this defense and rushing attack is going to win them games like this. 49ers win 28-16. Chargers at Titans. I hate both these teams. I'm serious. I actually have always kind of liked them both, but now I hate them. They're terribly inconsistent, they've got awful offensive lines, and could probably use complete overhauls from a leadership standpoint. And that's how I really feel. I would have never guessed that a benching would be the reason that we saw Ryan Tannehill come in for Marcus Mariota and not due to an injury. But with the way that Titans offensive line has been pass blocking lately, Mariota better stay ready because Tannehill probably won't last the rest of the season and he'll get his chance to redeem himself. Problem is that the Titans season could already be over by that point. I don't know what's wrong with the Chargers. I just think that they're probably not as good as we thought they were. I'm reluctantly going to take the better defense at home in this one, and that's with the tiniest grain of salt I could possibly find. Titans win 20-17. Saints at Bears. Oh, you haven't picked the Saints once this year, says the comments. Well, I'm not going to pick a team to win just because I haven't picked them yet or in a while. In fantasy football, that's called chasing points, and that's what noobs do. So I'm sorry if I haven't picked your team yet this year. Forgive me when you lose your starting quarterback and it seems like it's smarter money to pick against a team with a backup quarterback. But Sean Payton has been the NFL Coach of the Year, hands down. This team transformed their entire identity after Drew Brees went down, and call me crazy, but I actually think that Brees needs to adjust his game to fit this game plan when he gets back. That means taking fewer deep shots and letting the defense go to work. This ball control offense travels better than the 5,000-yard passing offense, and I'd love to see Alvin Kamara and the defense truly be the identity of this team moving forward, with or without Brees. Now the Bears, they had some time to prep for this one, but Chase Daniel is still the Bears quarterback here, so unless the Bears defense completely dominates a game, I don't have much faith in them to make the plays necessary to win. Akeem Hicks, one of my favorite players in the league, he landed on IR this week, so that's going to be a big blow to the interior of the Bears defense. He's a key reason that Khalil Mack was as impactful last year as he was, because he was eating up double teams in the inside and freeing Mack up on the outside. I expect this to be a very low scoring defensive struggle here, and Marshawn Lattimore will continue to shut down the opposition's best wide receiver, and here even baiting Chase Daniel into throwing his way for a pick six. I know, right? Very specific. But if the Saints lose this game, I can promise you that Saints fans will be in the comments begging me not to pick them again. Saints win 16-10. Ravens at Seahawks. I was hoping to see the Ravens assert their dominance against the Bengals last week, but they did what needed to be done. This week they traded Kenny Young, a linebacker that they had already benched, for Marcus Peters. Now, Peters isn't as good as his reputation, but he does bring the confidence and energy that this Ravens defense has been known for over the years, and we have seen him play at a certain level, so there's hope that he can get back to that point. Now, he's no Jalen Ramsey, but they got him for a much cheaper price tag. The fresh start should once again rejuvenate him and could be just what the Ravens needed to make a run here. Traveling to the Seahawks will be a good litmus test for them, because I think this Seahawks team might be a top 5 team in the league. And Marcus Peters has some experience playing here, but that's not going to be enough for the Ravens if they can't take advantage of the Seahawks' biggest weakness, which is their offensive line. And don't forget, Marcus Peters was the guy getting picked on by DK Metcalf last Thursday night, so hopefully the Ravens will just ease him into the lineup. Earl Thomas also makes his return to Seattle, so you know he's going to be juiced up for this one. There are some really good late afternoon games this week, but in this one I think the league MVP keeps the train rolling at home this week. Seahawks win 34-29. On Sunday Night Football, we've got Eagles at Cowboys. The NFC East is terrible. These are the two best teams in the division, and hopefully one of them can turn things around down the stretch. They both got off to slow starts last year and stepped things up to make a run into the playoffs, so the potential is there to do it again, except with how deep the NFC is this year, it's unlikely that the wild card will be an option for either of them. You're going to have to win the division to make the playoffs here. Doug Peterson basically guaranteed an Eagles win this week because, you know, that always works out well. And I know the Cowboys were in trouble when I heard on Sunday morning that both of their starting offensive tackles, weren't going to be playing against a Greg Williams defense. Injuries are tearing through this Cowboys roster after a really healthy training camp and preseason, and the coaching staff just isn't good enough or creative enough to compensate for that. The Cowboys have had the Eagles number for a while, but if the offensive line doesn't get their tackles back, then the Cowboys are probably going to lose this one. However, if Jason Garrett takes the restrictor plate off of Kellen Moore, then the Cowboys could take advantage of the Eagles' depleted secondary. But once again, injuries are going to dictate, is Amari Cooper playing, is Randall Cobb playing. Garrett seems to get the Cowboys to respond in these back against the wall kind of games, but if he's truly lost this team, then it's going to show up in an ugly way early on Sunday night. I'm trying to keep the faith here. Cowboys win 24-20. And then on Monday night, we've got Patriots at Jets. The Patriots are a defensive team now, and Tom Brady's a bus driver. You know, until the playoffs get here and he takes his TB12 branded HGH and hulks out against everybody in the AFC. That's a joke, obviously, at least I think it is. I warned you guys last week that this Jets team is going to be different with Sam Darnold back at quarterback, and there's a reason teams continue to put up with Greg Williams. With a competent quarterback, this team can function on another level and will probably screw up their draft positioning on their way to a 7-9 record, and those wins have got to come somewhere, so I'm putting the Patriots on upset alert this week. That's right, the Jets shocked the world last week with a win over the Cowboys, right? Well, I think it keeps on going this week on Monday Night Football. This defense can create pressure, and Brady hates getting knocked around. The weather's going to be crappy. Pair all of that with the Patriots offensive line not playing as well as we're accustomed to, and this game is shaping up to be the Jets Super Bowl this year. And Adam Gase has got a ton of experience coaching against the Patriots and this Belichick defense. I think it's going to be a Meadowlands miracle. Jets win 2017. That's going to do it for me this week. Thank you guys all for watching, commenting, liking, subscribing, all that good stuff. Good luck to your teams this week. Even Eagles fans, I hope you guys play super duper duper well. That's obviously a joke, but after I've been trash talking the Cowboys opponents for the last 3 weeks and the Cowboys have lost each time, I'm trying to take a different approach here. So good luck, Eagles fans. Good luck to your football team. I hope that Carson Wentz plays much better on third down than he has all season long. Don't forget to check out Overlay Fantasy Sports. I appreciate them for jumping in as the new sponsor here for these videos. Don't forget to hit that like button. We're trying to hit 1,000 likes on this video. It really goes a long way to helping me out and helping me make more videos. I'm gonna have my mid-season awards coming out soon, and I'm also gonna try and predict the rest of the season based on what we've seen thus far through these first 7 weeks. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.